A phalanx of ladies who look to be about the age of college sophomores mull around in their workout gear in what appears to be an airport concourse, listening to their leader give a largely improvised oratory celebrating the victory women have achieved in a recent war between the sexes. Welcome to Femina, the sapphic utopia of the future, where men have been thoroughly vanquished and women reign supreme. Except no, because we immediately cut to a swanky hotel in Rio de Janeiro, where males not only still exist, but remain as smug and entitled as ever. Our dashing leading man checks in, makes some rather extraordinary demands of room service.
You no more baggage, senor? Just this, I'm traveling light. You send a barber up to the room, I could do with a shave. And send a manicurist. And ask the boy to bring up some sports shirts, size 15. Si, senor.
And promptly propositions his manicurist, demonstrating in the meantime a rather odd approach to pillow talk.
You know, it was pretty forward of me inviting myself up here. After all, you're a single girl.
Thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Nice thoughts?
Interesting thoughts.
A penny for them.
Well, they're worth much more than that. I was thinking that maybe tomorrow you could give me another manicure. Oh, I forgot something.
Yes?
What is your name?
Jeff Sutton and his new beau are accosted on the street by silly-looking evil henchmen who don't quite bring their A game, and we subsequently learn they, and quite possibly the manicurist, are eager to get their hands on a suitcase Sutton's carrying around containing $10 million in stolen cash. Leslie promises to help Sutton get out of town with the money, but they get separated at the airport and more masked thugs kidnap Leslie. The same fate nearly befalls Sutton, but at the last minute a strange woman beckons him over to a private plane. Lacking better options, he gets on board, where he's promptly drugged and then awkwardly stared at by a bunch of hot babes. He wakes to find himself in Femina, where he's introduced to Sumuro, or as she seems to be called in the English dubbing, Samantha. In classic Bond villain fashion, Samantha explains her entire secret plan for world domination to him. Presumably she's sanguine that he'll never be able to escape, but on the other hand, maybe she's okay with revealing her plan because it really isn't that much of a plan. It seems to mostly involve stealing lots of money and shooting or kidnapping lots of people. Meanwhile, the Rio crime kingpin responsible for the bumbling henchman tortures the poor abducted manicurist. He apparently does this sort of thing a lot, since the other poolgoers pay it no mind. In this way, he learns that Sutton has been taken to Femina, something he probably could have just deduced on his own. Sutton manages to get away after one of Samantha's underlings distracts her with a little loving, a betrayal for which she is later roundly punished. The exact way Samantha's torture machine works is never really explained, but ouch, it's pretty bad. With Sutton on the run, and both Samantha and Sir Macias after him, the stage is set for a showdown in the streets of Rio. This happens against the backdrop of Carnival, of course, since, as we all know, in Brazil, it's perpetually Mardi Gras, and no Brazilian is ever doing anything except smiling from ear to ear and dancing around in weird outfits. The movie has all the makings of a fun, if mindless, 90 minutes. It's got super spy intrigue, it's replete with gorgeous, exotic, scantily clad women, it's full of action scenes that unfold in the streets of one of the world's most beautiful cities. So with all this going on, I couldn't figure out why I was bored and vaguely angry through most of it. Turns out I was in the dark because the movie had no director title, so I missed the fact that it was helmed by exploitation legend and dim-witted hack Jess Franco. We simply must rethink this idea that Franco deserves cult status as a director. His movies tend to be boorish, tediously misanthropic, incoherent, amateurish, and humorless. And Future Women is no exception. Its simplistic but murky storyline simultaneously stultifies and befuddles, no mean feat. Its action scenes suck, its dialogue feels forced and awkward. Like most of Franco's output, it has long dead spaces that make it even harder to sit through. Its characters' motivations are unclear, and the whole affair is just muddled on virtually every level. The few rewards Future Women does offer, aside from the obvious, come from marveling at the period shots of 60s Rio de Janeiro. Brazil in general was undergoing a modernist renaissance in urban architecture during that decade. 1960 saw the completion of Brasilia, arguably the world's first ever completely pre-planned city. Brasilia's otherworldly utopian cityscape is echoed in Rio's Museum of Modern Art, which in Future Women serves as Samantha's fortress of Femina. One of Franco's few gifts is exploiting strange urban spaces, which he typically does in his native Spain. Visually, he adapts well to Rio here, but his fixation on the city leads to some strange plot twists. For instance, Femina is apparently far enough from civilization to only be accessible by plane, but is actually located in the city, of course, and Sugarloaf Mountain is visible from it. If you're feeling charitable, you can read Femina as in some way an extra-dimensional metaphysical place. Something like Galt's Gulch or the Washington family's remote redoubt and F. Scott Fitzgerald's Diamond as Big as the Ritz. But something tells me Franco didn't have anything quite so clever in mind. Like its prequel, The Million Eyes of Sumeru, Future Women is pretty far outside Franco's comfort zone. He tends to gravitate to a kind of horror/softcore porn, not Bond-style espionage. And it shows. Even so, Franco does scratch his porno itch from time to time. The movie's women are implausibly forward, even considering that it came out in the middle of the sexual revolution. This would be hard to complain about if the sex scenes were in any way titillating. I'm definitely not too proud to appreciate some decent smut. But for whatever reason, Future Women just didn't do it for me, even on this level. Some of the ladies honestly weren't particularly to my taste, the shooting style is too distant, and the situation's too trite to really be engaging. In short, Future Women is visually pleasing, and it's sometimes absurd enough to yield dubious, campy pleasures of the Ed Wood variety. But Franco is a cynical filmmaker without Wood's guileless enthusiasm, and as a consequence, his works largely lack the fun quality that makes Wood's movies rewarding to watch. As a time capsule of 60s Rio de Janeiro, Future Women has a little value. Beyond this, though, I found myself mostly feeling annoyed and depressed that the movie didn't come anywhere close to its potential. The DVD is also replete with audio problems, a pervasive, whiny hiss that might be an attempt at the sound of futuristic machinery, but is probably just a transfer problem. It's irritating in any case. And at one point, the volume abruptly shoots up for some reason.
I get it.
Come, I will show you my city.
These factors lead me to recommend that if you ever check out Future Women, you do so with the sound turned off.
What happened to your clothes?
I lost them.